Well, Valerie, thank you so much for joining me today. Congratulations on your October Associate Spotlight. I hope that felt a little nice, something wonderful coming through your inbox.
Yes, Melissa, it did. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, we decided that as we continue to grow so rapidly, that we wanted to extend this not just to our associates, but to the team leaders as well, because I think it's important that we all get to know who's leading the company and who we can just get to know better and not feel as intimidated. I do think sometimes leaders, they can kind of have that vibe where maybe as new hires or new associates may not feel as comfortable. I don't necessarily feel that's the way you would come across, but nonetheless, I think it's important that we all get to know each other better. So thank you for this opportunity.
Probably definitely true, Melissa. I've thought we've probably all had those thoughts, going into different organizations, especially if you're new.
Well, I always start off with the first question, which always leads to the last question. So I don't even care if they end up as one. But if you wouldn't mind telling us what you do for Adafio, how long you've worked here, and then if you want to just continue with what brought you to work for Adafio.
Sure. I'm Valerie Mooring. I'm the healthcare and cybersecurity team lead. I've been here at Adafio for over 5 years now. My job entails leading our cybersecurity and our healthcare consulting services. And I also spend, a lot of people may not know this within the company, but I spend about at least 10% of my time in a week providing either healthcare consulting services to some of our clients, which is mostly revolves around our quality reporting programs. Also assisting in on some of our security risk assessments, especially during our busy season for the security risk assessments, which just so happens to be, actually it keeps backing up every year, but it kind of started this year, the end of July. Usually when I first started, 4 or 5 years ago, it was more like October, end of October, 1st of November, and we keep backing that up, which is really a good problem to have. These types of services, as far as the security and the cybersecurity services, focus on assessing our clients' environments from a HIPAA perspective, but we also do those that focus on general business industry as well. The healthcare services that I specifically help our clients out on are assessing and planning for improved healthcare outcomes for our patients. And of course, that's really important to all of our associates here, because at some point in time, either now or in the future, we're going to need, the healthcare system to provide good care for us. So I'm really passionate about that. I'm passionate about helping our clients and the people that are responsible for reporting the quality of care that they're providing to their insurance companies. It's very complex, Melissa, and you did a great video a couple of years ago where me and Lori and Kenzie talked about that. So if anybody within the company wants to learn more about that, I've actually started pointing all of our new hires to that video, because I think you did such a great job on it. And it really does hopefully kind of tell the story of what we do day in and day out. At the end of the day, these services and our end goal is to be an extension of our clients' teams with their best interest and their goals and their specific needs in mind. So really, just like all the other services that Adafio provides, even though maybe these services haven't been around as long as our traditional managed services, we think they're very important to our clients. Most of the people that work in healthcare, most of our clients, they don't understand the IT lingo. We have our own healthcare, acronyms. And so really to kind of help bridge the gap between two of those things is something else that I also really enjoy doing. The story about why or how I got to Adafio is kind of interesting. And if you've been here for a few years, you may have heard Kenny tell this story. He has mentioned it a couple of times that he thinks this might be the longest recruiting effort for Adafio to date. Probably, I don't know if that's true or not, but so we had lunch for about 3 years when I worked for the company that I was working for prior to Adafio, because I was working with Kenny and some other IT professionals under a contract with my current employer. And I kind of just kept telling him, well, the timing's not right just yet. I'm still very interested in the type of work that I'm doing. And I really feel like I want to keep developing my professional growth where I'm at, but let's keep talking. And so essentially, that last lunch opportunity that we had, or meeting that we had, he's like, well, why don't you come and interview with me and Keith? And really kind of the rest is history after all of that. So
What was
really
it
excited to
that
be here.
what was it that really made you decide that this was the place, this was where you wanted to end up?
I was praying about it, talking to my husband about it, and it's just one of those things where some of the contract work where again I was working at prior was starting to wind down. And
Mhm.
so some of the work that we were going to be moved to from a contracting perspective was not as interesting to me and what I really wanted to focus my time and efforts on. And so I just decided that the timing, was really good for me, and really that patience when we're all kind of, facing a big decision like that, it is really important, I think.
What would you be doing if you weren't the team lead for healthcare and cybersecurity at Adafio?
So before I worked at Adafio,
Mhm.
and even before I worked in kind of the healthcare IT landscape, probably wouldn't return to the cardiac catheterization laboratory, even though I had a lot of fun in that environment. And I still actually hold my radiologic technology license. So I could still do that if I needed to, but it's very hard physical work. You wear lead aprons all day, and it's really pretty demanding position.
Yeah.
But I would probably look for something in the medical device industry. At one point in my career, I thought about going and being like a pacemaker rep.
Mhm.
And so you're still in that environment, but it's not 7 to 12, 15-hour days with call rotations as well. So they still do have to take call, but it's a little bit
Yeah.
more flexible work schedule.
Well, what do you like most about your job?
I really like helping our clients understand something that again is very complex, and then just having the feeling that I'm making their job a little bit easier is certainly one thing for sure. From being the team lead and that from that perspective, I hope that I am providing valuable leadership, just information and guidance and feedback that is helpful to each member of my team, not only for the services that they're providing to our clients, but also for their career growth plans and any just type of issues that they may be having at the time.
Yeah, well, I think you do a fantastic job as a team lead. You're just having a deliberate manner of paying attention and noticing when things are done well and calling people out for it, and you're a good supporter. And I'm sure that is also reflective of you as a parent, and that just kind of holds true for you as a team lead as well.
Thank you. I do try. Every day is like every day's a new day, right? And a new challenge. But yes,
So, what
right.
is the best career lesson you've learned thus far?
I think, Melissa, this one is, I've learned a lot of lessons, and I'm still probably learning some.
Yeah.
We all continue learning things, right? I would say, especially to maybe those that have just entered the workforce or just starting out fresh out of college or apprenticeship programs or anything like that, that just don't burn any professional bridges. If
Hmm.
you're unhappy or if you're unsatisfied with your current roles, I've been reading a new leadership book recently. It's making yourself available to the industry. Start looking for what will bring you fulfillment in the workplace. And only I know that, Melissa, only you know that. Your team lead won't know that for you. That's something that you've got to figure out for yourself. So I was recruited back to work for two different companies that I had left in a professional manner over my career. And I feel like, if I've ever felt like it was the time for me to use my talents for another company, then I've made that move. And I really strive to enjoy and value my time. And I feel like I'm just blessed every day with time. It's a new day to provide some value and to help somebody out. So just don't burn bridges. That's probably the biggest career lesson that I've ever learned.
And be an advocate for yourself to know what direction and where you want to go in your career, not
Yeah.
expect everybody else to know that for you.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm. We've got this crystal nose, and I've been really fascinated by it personally because when I took
Okay.
it, and I've taken it a few times. I've taken a lot of
Hmm.
the assessments a few times just because I'm curious about personalities.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Yeah. It's so kind of scary how spot on it is. I've taken it twice now, and I feel like there's still some tweaks to be made because some of it I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, I do kind of like change and different things. So some of those parts kind of feel a little off or weird to me, but I'm a planner. the SC part on the wheel. And so it says
Mhm.
I'm patient and considerate and modest. And so I was going to ask, well, do you think it's spot on? I don't know if you've looked at it or
I
compared.
do think it's spot on, and I was actually going to figure out how we are in relation to each other,
Yeah.
because I find that fascinating. I did that with Carson Seelinger, and we were both exactly like right beside each other.
Oh
It
yeah.
was
Yeah.
so I was going to add you.
Yeah, me and Sam are close, and it's interesting because they say the best teams, have a whole visual, or you are represented well from the whole
Yes.
wheel. The best teams as far as operating and efficiencies and productivity and just all the really creativity. So we've got a pretty good representation. It'll be interesting to see what how Mark fits into the wheel and the crystal nose profile. But most of the associates that I've talked to on my team, in their one-on-ones, they're like, yeah, it's crazy. And we've even talked about it in our team meetings. Like it's just and crazy how accurate that it is.
It
I
is.
mean,
It's I find it uncanny, and I
that
really
answers
like
your
it for that reason.
question.
It just
Yeah,
feels something that we can count on to not take things so personally if the
yeah,
communication doesn't go or align with your expectations with another person. When you find who they are and how they behave in accordance with how you behave, well, you may realize, well, that is nothing. There's nothing that,
yeah,
it's not
right.
me. It's just our communication nature. It's just how we are.
Yeah.
So that's been so what I've noticed about us is we're on the same side, but we're a little bit further apart on those
Hmm.
tiers. So like risk aware, we're both, or risk averse, we're both somewhat risk averse. We're both trusting. We're both, well, the only one that I would say that we're opposite, well, not even really opposite, is you're more deliberate and I'm more fast paced, but just barely, like
Yeah.
just barely. So
Very full.
yeah, I think that's great.
I do like to plan, and my husband's not a planner. So that really, it's interesting. It's our 25th wedding anniversary today, actually.
Is it really?
Yes,
That's so
yes.
great.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
25 years.
I
Or do you have
know.
plans? Or are you?
I think we're trying to plan something this weekend. He's
Yeah.
actually out of town. He did ask permission first. I said, yes, of course you can. But anyway, yeah.
You guys have managed to learn each other's love languages and how to work together to it doesn't seem it very often anymore. People
Yeah.
can get to that 25-year mark and without having some good advice to share with others.
Yeah.
Communication, communication,
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
So what do you like to do when you aren't working?
This is
Go
why
ahead
I
and
loved,
just
and
make your
I've
list.
already, yeah, I've already forgotten whose spotlight it was, but I was like, whoever it was, it's one of the recent ones mentioned that if you enjoy your time just sitting around, it's not wasted time. I really love
Yeah.
that because that's so opposite
Matthew
of me, but
Barber.
it's so true. Yeah, it's like, oh wow, Matthew, that's really speaking to me right now. So I don't like sitting still for a really long time, but I do need to learn to enjoy that because it's part of really being a good, healthy person. Anyway, but if you likely will find me either running, walking, I love to cycle. I've got a workout class that I'm attending early in the mornings now, a couple days a week. I really enjoy traveling and watching my daughters competing for different, athletic teams, playing with my dogs outside. Something new I've picked up is wake surfing in the last couple years. That we
So
got a surf
hard.
boat, and that's really a lot of fun. It's a little scary, and then
Yeah.
um, do help out with my church on Wednesday nights with the boys. They're called TNT group. They're like third through
Uh-huh.
sixth grade, so that's a lot of fun. And just attending church and visiting with friends.
Well, tell me a little bit more about what you just registered and qualified for.
Yes, I actually qualified earlier this year for the Pikes Peak Ascent. So it's a 13.1, so a half marathon straight up Pikes Peak and out in Colorado. We're planning to complete that in 2023. It's me and another group of friends that I've been running with for a long
Uh-huh.
time. And my aunt's actually in this group as well. I got her to running years ago, and her daughter's probably going to go with us and do it too. So her daughter actually hated running for the longest time. And then she, got out in her professional career and started running. And now she's faster than all of us. So it's just kind of funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Do you prefer trail running or road running?
I prefer road running, although, the reason I'm cycling and doing other things now is because I have ran for so many years. My knees and my hips and all that are
Mhm.
starting to kind of hurt, having to get different things so that I can try to slow down as far as the number of miles that I'm running and things like that.
Mhm.
So with the trails, there's that many more. Even though this Pikes Peak Ascent is going to be straight up and rocky and it's going to be a trail, I'm going to have to purchase hiking boots. I don't even have
Yeah,
any yet. So I've got to get some, but there's bigger chances for injury there, right? With, twisting your ankles or your knees or
absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is definitely, a challenge. It's something that I'm trying to work up, and that's why I'm doing other types of workouts and things so that I can get myself prepared and ready for, the altitude and just everything else that's going to come with this challenge that we're working towards with this group.
Yeah.
So
Have you done Pikes Peak or have you been out to Pikes Peak before? Okay, so this
no,
will be
yeah, I didn't list snow skiing, but we do love snow skiing, but that's kind of an expensive hobby, so we don't get to go that often. But I've been out to Colorado a few times
Mhm.
to go snow skiing, but that's it. I haven't been out to Pikes Peak, and I haven't actually hiked, in Colorado yet, just done the snow
Yeah.
skiing. So
Well, I'm excited for you. I believe that's in the spring, early summer when that
it's
Pikes Peak ascent
Well,
happens.
yeah, we're waiting for it was in September. It used to be every August, and it used to be like
Okay.
this lottery system.
Yes, that's right. That's
You
right.
couldn't get in, or there was only so many slots, and it's still like this, but I guess not as many people are as interested in it anymore. So basically, what the group of us did is we went ahead and qualified earlier this year with some times. Running either a half marathon or a full marathon in a certain amount of time, and I just barely made it with a half marathon time, but anywho, I
You
made
did
it. So
it.
I got in. So we registered for 2022 and then we turned around and delayed it or deferred it to 2023 because we knew we weren't, physically ready
Yeah.
this year. So essentially they just had 2022s. We're waiting on them to release if it's going to be in August or September, this next coming up year. So
So that makes sense because I had friends. We used to travel to Colorado every August, and there was one August where several of my friends were doing the Pikes Peak ascent. I did
yeah.
not participate in it. I was at the end cheering them on. So
And we have
don't feel bad
several,
when you have to
yeah,
walk, is what I
yeah.
understand. You will
No,
be
oh, we're
walking
going to
at
be
times.
walking a lot. We've already we just want to complete it. That's the thing,
Yeah.
and just knowing that you're able to ride the, what's it called? Not
Trolley, the
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 trolley
the
down.
train up
Yeah.
and down.
We
Mhm.
don't have to go down. We just have to go up. So that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited to hear about it. That
Yeah.
sounds like an amazing opportunity and an experience that not many people will ever have done. It's just those crazy runners out there that I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one final question for you, and what's the one thing you can't live without?
I would say I should have said my Bible. That would have been the right thing to say, right? Like my Christian
You
thing,
can
but
have more than one, but yeah, this is more
so
of like the indulgent sort of thing, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So good running shoes. Right now I'm wearing Hoka's. I
Hmm.
forgot the actual version of the Hoka's that I'm wearing, but they're really light because I didn't really like Hoka's for the longest time. They're really big. I'm like, those
Yeah.
shoes are kind of older people and they look kind of, like for someone older, but I guess now I'm close to that close to that age and I had to get custom inserts because last year I had issues with like plantar fasciitis and my feet
Uh-huh.
hurting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I cannot
Has
live
it
without
helped?
good shoes,
Have these
though.
they've
Yes,
helped you?
it helped tremendously because I've had a couple different like injections, like steroid injections, and they
Yeah.
were telling me, well, the next thing is surgery. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing surgery. So anyway, I went and got these custom inserts, and they're just been amazing. A lifesaver. So that and my
Okay.
good running shoes, I need 2 or 3 a year, depending on what all we're doing. That's how quickly
Yeah.
they wear out. They just wear out if you wear them so many miles.
Do they, so the Pikes Peak, they suggest you run in hiking boots, or do they create a shoe that's more for like all terrain trail running? Have you looked
I,
into that?
I have not looked into it, Melissa.
Okay.
That's probably a good idea, something I should do. But the other ladies that are doing it with me, they've
Yeah.
probably done a little bit more research than I have, because they've
Okay.
sat down and went through it all. They bought
Yeah.
hiking boots, so I was just kind
Okay.
of going to cheat off of them and go get hiking boots.
Sure. Right. The hiking boots that I loved, and I've done a lot of hiking, they're the Merrell's hiking boots. So they
Yeah,
by beyond most comfortable. A lot of shoes, especially hiking boots, you have to wear them in just to get them to where you feel comfortable and your feet
yeah,
fit properly. But the Merrells were just by far the most, just felt wonderful when I was hiking those mountains. So check those out.
well, that's a good tip. Thank you. That's probably what I need to ask for Christmas. Some really good hiking boots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And get to wearing them. Like you said, break them in. I'll have 8 or 9 months.
Yes. And when you're walking around the office or doing your site visits, have your backpack full of rocks. Keeps the
Yeah.
weight down and makes you, feel that endurance a little bit more.
Yeah, that is true. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, that's all the questions that I had. I so appreciate your time and sharing more about you. It was just
Yeah.
wonderful to be able to get with you. I know you well already, but it's always the team's videos are great, through
Yeah.
COVID. It was one of those hard, difficult moments of how do we stay in touch? And now it doesn't feel nearly as distant and we've got each
Yeah.
other just across the wires. So,
That's true. That is true. I look forward to hopefully doing yoga, with
yes,
you and your
Wednesday
class next
night.
week. Y'all don't,
I
you
know.
have to
I'm
promise not to
excited.
make fun of me though.
I would never do that. And it's hot, but there's always levels and I have no question you'll be fine. We'll make it fun. Well, happy anniversary and happy associate spotlight and best month of the year to me is October. So you're just
Yeah.
winning all around.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks so much. Bye, Valerie.
Okay. Bye-bye.